Hi, I'm David Secules. Welcome to this, the first in what I hope will be a useful series of videos in which I'm going to go through the process of building something useful, really, on the Salesforce platform. This is aimed primarily at admins, at people who find themselves responsible for developing stuff on Salesforce or supporting a Salesforce system, and maybe struggle with some of the configuration level tasks that they have to work on. I figured, as a project, it might be interesting to build a project management tool. Primarily because a lot of people working on Salesforce find themselves having to build apps and solutions and so on, and having to manage that as a project. And I've seen a lot of people doing this, managing their projects on things like spreadsheets and so on. And I figured, why not build something on Salesforce to manage the projects that we're building on Salesforce? So the idea here is, first of all, to use this as an example of how you develop things in Salesforce, but at the same time, at the end, we'll find ourselves with a basic project management system that anyone basically can download and use and install on their own Salesforce systems for their own use. That's the idea. So yeah, I've called it the project. Just seemed like a nice name, and let's just start. As an aside, I'm aware that the quality of this is not great. I'm using a fairly lashed together system, and it's not what one would recommend. Okay, I'm using the laptop's own built-in microphone, for example, and the room that I'm in probably echoes quite badly. But you know what they say, the thing that you release that isn't perfect is always going to do better than the thing that never gets released because you never get it perfect. So work with me here, okay? It should at least give you something. That being said, let's get down to it. So this is the project. And basically, we're going to go through a number of different steps, which will ultimately result in a working system that you can install onto your own Salesforce and use that to manage your own projects. It will be absolutely extensible, so anything that we do here, you can always modify it, and once you've got it installed in your own system, and extend it however you want to do, you know, to be capable of doing whatever it is that you want to be able to do. So, first things first. What do we do when we're managing a project? Well, this is a fairly typical list of tasks that might be associated with a project, okay? And we would probably want to be able to say who the task is assigned to, when it's due to be completed, what priority it has, and so on and so on. Okay, this is the sort of thing that you normally see on the left-hand side of a Gantt chart. But in this case, it's on a spreadsheet. It's a Google Sheet. I quite often use Google Sheets because they're very easy to share with other people. If I'm collaborating with people who are not in the same organization as me, it's comparatively easy to share a Google Sheet with a number of different people and have them all editing the same thing at the same time. Really useful tool. However, what I actually would like to do is to take this basic idea and make it slightly more useful by building it out into a proper functioning system on the Salesforce platform. So the first step is to define what we want our project management system to be able to do. And for that, we're going to use something called user stories. Okay, the idea is that we can define all the different bits of functionality that we want our project or our ultimate tool to be capable of running. Okay, and to that end, over here we have our list of user stories, and you'll notice that the list is currently empty. I haven't actually written any user stories yet. Normally, what one would do for a proper project particularly for an actual client, is one would have what we call discovery sessions, where you sit in a workshop with the stakeholders for the project, the people that you're building the project for, and you would spend hours, sometimes days, going through all the pain points, all the issues, all the reasons why you're sitting in the room together. Once somebody engages a consultant, it's usually because things are going wrong, things are not working properly, they need some help. So you go through the list of all the things that are going wrong, all the things that they need help with, and you write those all down as requirements. And then those requirements you would convert into user stories. Okay? User stories have the structure of, as a something, I need to do a thing in order to achieve something else. Okay, so for example, as a project manager, I need to track my resources in order to make sure that the project can be delivered effectively. That kind of thing. That's the first creative point, really, in the process. It helps to crystallize the requirements from like a big long list of gripes that you've written down or noted from these discovery sessions into an actual set of things that you want to be able to deliver, and that the client can tell you what success looks like for. Okay, so what are the acceptance criteria that we would use? So for example, if you want to be able to track the cost for a project, then you would want to be able to log the time that's been spent by each of the different resources, and you would want to be able to produce a report that shows, for example, how much time has been devoted to this project this month. Okay, and the acceptance criteria would be, I want to be able to produce a report on a monthly basis showing the time that's been burned. Okay. And then at the end of the project, you can go through the list of acceptance criteria and say, this has been met and addressed by this part of the tool. Right. So this is our list of user stories, and it's currently empty. Now, I could sit here and start typing out a whole lot of user stories, and that's going to be really boring for you to watch, but here's an idea. Okay. Why not engage AI? I know it's really fashionable nowadays to do, hey, AI does everything, but it can be really useful. So here's an example, right? So up here, in this case, I'm using a Google Sheet, okay? Google comes with Gemini, which is the sort of the Google AI, and it allows you to, for example, say, please could you give me a list of useful user stories for a project management tool. Actually, before I do this, I'm just going to put my insertion point up here so that when it actually inserts the results, it starts in the top left-hand corner. I've noticed this is something which it tends to insert the results where starting at the point where you've got your cell highlighted. So please could you give me a list of useful user stories for a project management tool? That'll do, actually. Let's see what it comes up with that. So after a few moments, it's come up with this list. Here we go. Now it has gone and reproduced the first line, the title line effectively, with the same titles again. That's slightly annoying, but yeah, other than that, the rest of these, let's just see what it's come up with. Okay, so first of all, create a new project. Yes, that's a useful thing to be able to do. Each time you start a new project, you want to be able to create a new project. So as a project manager, I need to be able to create a new project so that I can track the progress of the project. Okay, that makes sense. The acceptance criteria, it's actually filling in the acceptance criteria for me. Ideally, if this were a client-facing project, the client would write the acceptance criteria. You write the user stories and you say, these are the things that we're going to do, or that the users need to be able to do, and then the client tells you what would be acceptable what would be an acceptable result for these. But in this case, because it's a project I'm doing for myself, I'm showing you guys, I can kind of write the acceptance criteria myself or even get the AI to do it for me. So as a project manager, I need to be able to create a new project so that I can track the progress of the project. In the acceptance criteria, the system should allow me to create a new project with a name, description, start date and end date. There you go, and that's a must-have. Okay, so this MOSCO thing, must-have, must, should, could, would. That's what MOSCO stands for. Okay, so must-have, something which is absolutely essential. We will not accept this project if it's not capable of doing this. Should is, this would be really useful. Okay, we really want it to do this, but if we can't, then we'll accept it grudgingly. Could is a nice to have, and would is, we'd like to have this if the system were capable of it, but for whatever reason it's not, or it's going to be outside of the budget for the project as it currently stands. That's quite a useful thing for future development. Okay, in terms of quasi-agile, the must-haves are basically what would form the minimum viable product. Okay, I personally prefer to go for a combination of the must-haves and the should-haves, which gives you what we would call the minimal lovable product, okay, the MLP. So this is something where the users are actually going to feel enthused about using it rather than feeling like forced into using a system that isn't quite up to scratch. Enough babble. So what we've got here is effectively the AI giving us quite a nice start for a list of user stories. Let's just run through them and see what it's come up with, see if we like it. I'm just going to say insert those, overwrite data, happy with that. I'm going to just delete that first row because it's a duplicate of the one above it. So delete that row, there we go. So what do we have? First one, we've got create a new project. Second, add tasks to a project. So a project is going to be a list of tasks to be completed. So we want to be able to, as a project manager, I want to be able to add tasks to a project so that I can track the progress of the tasks. And then the system should allow me to add tasks with name, description, due date, and assignee. Okay, so those are useful things. It's suggesting what we want to be able to define about a task. And then the acceptance criteria. The system should allow me to add tasks to a project. The task should be displayed on the list. Okay, yeah. If we can't do that, then obviously we're not going to accept this solution. What's the next one? We want to be able to assign tasks to team members. Okay, so as a project manager, I would need to be able to assign tasks to team members so that I can track who is working on what. The system should allow me to assign tasks to team members, and the system should allow me to assign tasks to team members. The team members should be able to see the tasks that are assigned to them. Okay, again, useful stuff. Next, do you know what? I'm just going to quickly drag this down here so that I don't lose the title line. There we go. Actually, while I'm there, I'll just drag this one. There we go. So I can always see the story title however far to the left I scroll, and that's always going to be useful. Good, good, good. Right. Assigned to team members. Next, as a project manager, I need to be able to view the progress of a project so that I can see how the project is progressing. The system should display the progress of the project in a visual way, such as a Gantt chart or a burn down chart. Okay, now we'll come to that later on, obviously, in the project. So the acceptance criteria, the system should allow me to view the progress of a project. The progress should be displayed in a visual way. Okay, and again, that's a must-have. Next, generate reports. As a project manager, I need to be able to generate reports so that I can share the progress of the project with stakeholders. Okay, and again, the acceptance criteria, I'm just going to make that a little wider so we have a little more room to work with. The system should allow me to generate reports. The reports should include information about the progress of the project, the tasks that are completed, and the tasks that are still outstanding. Okay, again, fairly basic stuff. Hang on, I'm just going to get rid of the AI and make everything a little wider so that we have less scrolling. So, actually that's the point. Just want to check. Yeah, okay. So the project manager is assigning tasks to the team members. I was just checking up here. The team members should be able to see the tasks that are assigned to them. That's actually something that we're going to want to look at later. Make sure that there is a user story for, as a team member, I need to be able to see the tasks that are assigned to me. Okay, so that might be a user story that is skipped, but we'll see. Let's find out. As a project team member, I need to be able to collaborate with team members so that we can work together on tasks. Okay, that's good. So the system should allow team members to communicate with each other, share files, and track the progress of tasks. Okay, useful. Next, customize the project management tool. As a project manager, I need to be able to customize the project management tool so that it meets the specific needs of my team. Okay, so that's quite a useful thing. This is a should have, because I guess the AI that built this table for us didn't really know what we're actually building this project management system on. So it's possible that what we're actually designing is something that we don't want the end user to be able to modify. But actually, one of the nice things about working on the Salesforce platform is that it is actually quite easily extensible. So whatever you install, whenever this whole project is finished and we have a product that you can download and install on your own Salesforce system, you will then be able to modify it to fit whatever kind of additional use cases work for you. Moving on. Right. Integrate with other tools. Okay. As a project manager, I need to be able to integrate with other tools so that I can use the project management tool with other tools that I use. Should allow me to integrate with other tools such as email, calendar, and file storage. Yeah, okay, so this is one of those ones where whenever the word integration pops up, most experienced developers and consultants will start to break out in a cold sweat, because integration is one of those things where it can be really easy and it can be really complicated, and it's quite difficult to tell usually at the start of a project how easy or complicated it's going to be. This is going to be out of scope for this project, but I should mention that Salesforce does integrate very well with a number of different systems. Okay, it's just that's out of scope for this project, for this kind of quick introductory demonstration kind of a thing. So I'm going to change that from should have to would have. Okay, because I want to de-scope it for this project. And then next, get help and support. So as a project manager, I need to be able to get help and support so that I can rescue myself from disasters. Okay. Help and support generally available. Obviously on the Salesforce platform, you can always get help from Salesforce. You should probably also have a handy Salesforce consultant or consultancy or implementation partner or someone like that you can reach out to whenever you get yourself in a pickle. And guess what I do? Just saying. Right, I'm going to add my own. I mean, these are all good. These are pretty good user stories. I'm not going to complain about any of them, but I'm going to add a couple of my own. So, or at least one of my own. So I'm going to put in. See my tasks. Okay, and this is as a project team member, I need to see a list of my tasks so that in order to manage my work on the project. There we go. Actually, on this project, and I'm going to make that, didn't spell this properly. See a list of my tasks. Okay. And I'm going to put into the additional details here, this would be a list of tasks related to a specific project. Okay, and then the next one is going to be see all of my tasks. I'm going to change that one there to see my project tasks. As a project team, not even a project team member, I'm just going to say as a team member. I need to see a list of all of my tasks in order to manage my work over all of the projects I'm working on. Because we can't assume that everyone's working on one project at a time. Quite often, most people have more than one thing going on at a time. So therefore, you'll have a series of tasks for one project and another series of tasks for another project. And yes, okay, you can be working on this project and see what you're working on there. But sometimes it's useful to take a step back and see all of the tasks you're working on across all of the projects you're working on. So that's what this user story is designed to cover. Finally, I'm going to put see a filtered list of tasks. So as a team member, I need to see a filtered list of my tasks in order to focus on tasks according to their relevance. And I'm just going to say should be able to filter these tasks on any combination of properties, e.g. Project name, status, signee, etc. Let's put etc. Okay, well, I think that's actually probably a good place to stop at this point. What we have now is a series of user stories, which I'm going to take away and tidy up. And then on the next video, we're going to start talking about how we would take these user stories and then translate them into a design, how we design the solution that we want to work on here. Actually, before we go any further, I've thought of another couple of user stories while I'm talking. You don't need to watch me type. That's really boring. I realize that doesn't make for a very entertaining time. So I'm going to take this away, add my own thoughts to it, tidy the table up, because the AI did mess it up a little bit. And on the next video, we will see the revised list of user stories, possibly review some of the things I've added, and then we'll see how that develops into a design. And then in future videos, we're going to go on to build the design, do all the automations and all that kind of fun stuff. And ultimately, we're going to end up with a working project management system that can run on the Salesforce platform that you can download and use for your own projects. That's the idea. I hope this has been useful. Usual social media stuff about like, comment, subscribe, and all that jazz. Hope you've found this useful, and I will see you in a later video, and hopefully by then I will have become less burbly and a little bit more coherent. Good luck. Speak to you soon.